Today on Ask a DM, we're going to take a look at what to do when your players are ignoring all of your plot hooks. Hey, Lucar here. I have been a Dungeon Master since high school, and I make weekly videos with information and resources to help Dungeon Masters run awesome games. So if you're looking to level up your D&D games, really click on that subscribe button down below and slash that bell so you don't miss anything. Alright, today's question comes from Alicia over on Facebook. Fairly new DM here. First campaign I'm running is Curse of Strahd, and I'm running into a bit of a reoccurring problem with my party. They cannot seem to prioritize what they care about. Oh, hurt children? Who cares? Oh geez, some corruption and bad guys? Not our problem. This random guard that I accidentally named Tim because they asked for a name and I didn't want to wait too long finding a Barovian one. Best NPC ever. 10 out of 10 stars, and they ask about him all the time. How can I get them to care more about things? It makes plot hooks really difficult. I had to railroad them last session just to get anywhere. They had no desire to venture for any of my hooks, and instead wanted to walk around getting custom dolls made for Tim the Guard. They aren't super serious, just a very goofy bunch of dudes, but come on. Curse of Strahd is supposed to be grim dark, and instead it's 20 minutes of giggling because Father Lucian has 2 young men under his ward. How do I get their attention and make them care more? Okay, Alicia, the very first thing that I want to tell you is ignore anybody who tells you that you should kill their characters to show them that you're serious. In my experience, this sort of thing is more likely to piss your players off, create tension in your game, and it's not going to solve anything. In fact, killing off players' character is just downright childish. It's just foolish. Talk to your players. Don't kill them off. Have an open conversation with them, calmly, respectfully, like an adult. Tell them the things that you just told us above. I would start off by telling them that you want to run a slightly more serious game of Curse of Strahd. And more importantly, I would tell them that if they actually want to play the module, if they want to play Curse of Strahd, then they're going to have to start biting some of these hooks and going on some of the adventures that are actually in the module. Now, if they don't want to play the module, and you're okay with that, then I suppose that's perfectly fine. That's going to save you lots of prep work, trying to prepare that module for them, and lots of frustration when they later ignore everything and don't run it. Hey, real quick, let me know down in the comments how you would handle it if you busted your butt to prepare a module, prepare any adventure for that matter, and your players firmly ignored all of your plot hooks and just did whatever. Now, Alicia, I would start off by talking with them and seeing if you can resolve this through having a conversation and whatnot. I think that you're going to be possibly pleasantly surprised, and your players are probably going to respect the fact that you talk to them like an adult, and they're probably going to go along with it. At least that would be my hope. However, I kind of have a feeling that your players are playing what I call a screwing around game. And what this is basically is where the players ignore anything that you might have had planned, and they just wander around the world doing random crap. And in my opinion, this is very disrespectful to the Dungeon Master who has spent, in your case, I don't know how much time you've spent preparing this module, but I'm going to be willing to guess that you probably spent hours prepping these things, reading the module, and planning it out, only to have them just brazenly disregard anything you want to do. At the end of the day, if your players don't want to play Curse of Strahd, either by words or actions, then stop. And Alicia, to be perfectly honest, if you don't want to run the type of screwing around game that your players might want to play, then by all means, you can stop. Again, this is a very simple conversation. You tell your players, listen guys, I am not interested in running the type of game that you want to play, so I'm no longer going to be DMing for you. And at that point, I would ask them which one of them wants to be the Dungeon Master and run this type of game that all of them seem to be interested in playing. Now, I think that one of 3 things is going to happen. First of all, someone might actually step up and say, yeah, I'll run the game, I'll be a DM, and there you go, you can all keep on playing. Or they might, at that point, when they figure that they're going to lose their Dungeon Master and nobody else wants to be a Dungeon Master, they might decide to meet you halfway and, yeah, okay, sure, we understand you do all of this work prepping Curse of Strahd, and we've kind of been disrespecting that whole thing, so we're going to meet you halfway, right? And I think that's an important thing. I think it's important for players to meet the Dungeon Master halfway. It is important that a Dungeon Master is running a game that the players want to play, But it's equally important that players respect that sort of social contract with their Dungeon Master, respect the fact that Dungeon Master spent lots of time preparing something, and actually run what the Dungeon Master has prepared. So Alicia, it's possible that when you finally put it to it and you say, guys, I don't want to DM anymore because I don't want to run that game, they might at that point decide, okay, we're going to meet you halfway and we're going to start cooperating a little bit more. Or the third thing that might happen is you don't want to DM anymore. None of your players want to DM and they don't want to run Curse of Strahd. They want to keep playing a screwing around type of game, and your frustrations will end. They'll end because the game will end. And that might sound super sucky, but honestly, sometimes things just aren't meant to be. And that isn't a comment on your ability as a dungeon master or their skill or desires as players. It's simply a thing that sometimes happens. Sometimes there is a misalignment of desires. Sometimes the dungeon master wants to do one thing and the players want to do another, and they just simply can't agree on a way that everybody likes. And so splitting up over that is not a horrible thing, right? I mean, it's unfortunate, right? People might not be super happy about it, but sometimes that stuff happens. And nobody's really necessarily to blame, I think. It's just something that is, something that sometimes things just aren't meant to be. Now, Alicia, one thing I want to be clear about here, I want you to understand that as a dungeon master, you are never beholden to run a game that you don't want to run just because your players want to play that game. Right? You're the dungeon master. Your players need to meet you halfway. There needs to be a happy medium here. If you are running a game that you abhor running, that you hate running, then I can almost guarantee you that you're going to have no desire to do it. All of your motivation is going to be like stripped out of you, and that game is probably not going to be, it's definitely not going to be fun for you, and it's probably not going to be as fun for your players. And as a final word, Alicia, remember, you are the dungeon master. You're the one who busts your butt preparing a game for them to run. If your players won't respect all of that work you put into it, if they're constantly ignoring your hooks, and they're unwilling to meet you halfway, well, honestly, players are a dime a dozen. There's a limited amount of people willing to be a dungeon master because of all of the work it involves and some of the problems and issues you have to deal with. But there are always tons of players. There are other players out there who will appreciate all of the hard work a dungeon master puts into the game. You just gotta go find them. Remember, sometimes no D&D is better than bad D&D. Hey, if you're interested in supporting this channel, you can head on over to my Patreon page. I have put a link in the description for it, and I've also set up lots of cool perks for patrons. Also, check out my latest adventure, Into the City of Spiders, which is up now on DriveThruRPG. Link to that down in the description. If you found this video useful, hit that thumbs up button and share it with someone who might find it helpful. As always, if you have any questions about DMing or have a problem in your game, please hit me up in the comments. I'm always happy to help. And until next time, let's play D&D.